Yep. Hello there, Prop Malicious. Welcome on in. Wasn't expecting you to be in so early, but here we are. And hello, anyone who happens to be lurking, happens to be just chilling in the ether. Hope everyone's having a good Sunday. Happy Easter to those who celebrate it, and happy just a good Sunday if you don't. Hi there, Harpy. Hi, is it? We'll try that again, shall we? Hi there, Harpy. How's it going? Oh, oh. I expect I'm going to be Actually, I'll find a lighter jumper so I'm not constantly Jean-Paul Jacquety with his jacket on, Jean-Paul Jacquety with his jacket off. Points if you get that reference, because it's a bit of a oblique one. Go with Old Faithful. And yeah, now that I think about it, this really is Old Faithful at this point. This was the first, I'm pretty sure this was the first piece of Devon Townsend merch I got, clothing wise. So I've had it for like 14 years, something like that. That's always good. Oh, Lord. See, I'm not sure whether to laugh or wince at that one because it was such a stretch. It almost came back around. Let's get some going. I have realised that with the music I have playing in the background, it's generally best for me to have it be non-lyric music because otherwise I start getting distracted and it's very difficult to write when you're having lyrics going into your ears and all that sort of thing. It's why when I'm writing something that is based on a song, what I'll do is I'll listen to the song, and if I need a memory jog, I'll re-listen to it and then do my writing instead of trying to write whilst listening to the song, because there's a very good risk of ending up writing what I'm listening to. That bear with me whilst I find my letters die. Oh, that sounds cute. Okay, I know for a fact I didn't take my dice ball out of this room, so where the heck is it? Oh dear. Unpreparo strikes again. Very perplexing. This is very perplexing because I swear there is no reason it should not be around my desk. Why is it there? For some reason it was on my bed. I have no idea why it was on my bed. This is when we find out. This is when we find out that all the legends about the Fae. Hi there, Blue Sub. All the legends about the Fae were just people misplacing stuff due to ADHD. Okay. What letter this week? I'm pretty sure there are no. Alright. Okay. Fair enough. Actually, that rings some vague bells. Now that you mention it. What's this one? Steam Quasi-Elementalists. I do have something that I can put in the Steam nation, and that's technologically speaking. Because Steam Quasi-Elementalists, so they use magic that involves steam. That's going to modify technological advancements that affect technology. Not in that sense, dear. You have me intrigued. Certainly not outside the realms of possibility. I mean, it's important to remember that the time of antiquity was far more technologically advanced than we think it was. It wasn't just this backwater wasteland of they didn't have any of this stuff, so they couldn't possibly have advanced to this level. I mean, let's consider the whole what did the Romans ever give us? It's all you go through the list and you realise, yeah, there was a lot going on. Yeah, the Middle Ages, that was actually when things... This is what happens when you have religious imperatives creeping in. I mean, you say aesthetically in keeping with the setting. Consider what you have thus far encountered just in the campaign. I don't think there really is a in-keeping at this point. This is why I've started using the term kitchen sink punk, because it's just everything. One sec, I'm gonna look up what that means. Okay. Fine, I'll leave a note. Okay. My mum had a bit of a senior moment because I told her earlier that I would wait until after stream for dinner, and she just brought it in, so I'll at least have some of it. Hmm. Right. Oh yeah, I was going to look up that. Okay. An Aeolipile. We'll just go with the first one. From the Greek, Aeolus Gate, also known as a hero's or heron's, interesting, engine, is a simple bladeless radial steam turbine which spins when the central water container is heated. Torque is produced by steam jets exiting the turbine. The Greek Egyptian mathematician and engineer Hero of Alexandria described the device in the 1st century AD, and many sources give him the credit for its invention. However, Vitruvius was the first to describe this appliance in his De Architectura, circa 30 to 20 BC. No, circa 30 to 20 BC. The Aeolipile Aeolus Gate. I don't know why I want to say Aelio, even though it's Aeoli. The Aeolus Gate is considered to be the first recorded steam engine or reaction steam turbine, but it is neither a practical source of power nor a direct predecessor of the type of steam engine invented during the Industrial Revolution. Okay, let's have a look at the practical usage. It's not known whether the Aeolus Gate was put to any practical use in ancient times, and it was seen as a pragmatic device, a whimsical novelty, an object of reverence, or some other thing. A source described it as a mere curiosity for the ancient Greeks, or a party trick. Hero's drawing shows a standalone device and was presumably intended as a temple wonder, like many of the other devices described in Pneumatica. Interesting. What is the name of the god? I need to check my own articles. He's coming up. Including who else? Leonardo da Vinci. Well, yeah, of course he'd come up with one. He came up with freaking everything. Salt, vacuum. I'm gonna need to get a new mouse soon. It keeps shorting out. Right. The thing is, in the grand scheme of things, it makes sense that steam engines would be one of the oldest forms of tech to be thought up, because what do you need to produce steam? Boiling water. Not that difficult to do, and as a consequence, it's going to be very easy for the human brain to go, that's easy to make, what can I use that for? That's one of the problems with how a lot of people perceive human brains. They think that humanity does not give itself enough credit for how smart it actually is. And this is why we have the problem of deifying supposed geniuses that are actually not geniuses. Thank you, Seribot. I realise that what I just said could be read as a bit of a contradiction in terms, but when you really get down to it, it's basically a situation of as a collective whole, we are instinctively smarter than we allow ourselves to think we are. So when you've got someone who comes along and thinks they're smarter than they are, we end up deferring to them instead of using our own instincts. Yeah, that's exactly the reason, because we can't comprehend that we can't comprehend the idea that back in the olden times we were just as smart. The only difference is that we didn't have the resources and the advancement and all that sort of thing to not attribute phenomena and whatnot to gods. So because we were doing that, us as modern people think that we were dumb in all capacities. The digesting duck. You have me intrigued. And yeah, we had the same brains. The only thing that has changed over the past 8,000, 10,000, well, us as modern humans, we've been around for like 100,000, 200,000 years. But in terms of since the first city, that was 8 to 10,000 years ago. Brain. Funnily enough. Yeah, we all had. But yeah, we've had the same brains past couple of 100,000 years. The only thing that has changed is what resources are available, what understanding we have of the world around us. That sort of thing. That's all that's actually changed. Right, one moment. Ha! Okay. So that's a thing. I'm gonna write this in for the culture. I don't want to do a direct analog, and I don't want to fall back on the running gag of rubber chicken with a pulley in the middle. So what can we do as an alternate? Yeah! Yeah, let's go with that. I mean, you are right. That is a very you thing to say, Harvey. Now I'm wondering if Prof Malicious is going to have a wait a minute moment with what I've written here. What have you spotted, Prof. Malicious? I mean, consider all the time travel factors. But it's not just the ancestors' inventions causing explosions. There's also the name. Bernstrom Scunthorpe the Ninth. Oh, this has been locked in for ages. I mean, you've encountered time-travelling versions of Biggles and Kevin. So for the benefit of those who don't know, in my campaign, there is this duo of a wizard alchemist and his long-suffering assistant, Biggles and Kevin. Kevin is a kobold. I didn't name him for the alliteration, but I named him because of the minions from Despicable Me. And basically, in the campaign, turns out that Biggles has ended up doing a bit of time travelling. But there's also different instances of him that the party have run into who are actually previous to other instances of him. Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. let's just... I'd like to get this at least past 150, so let's just throw something at me that could work as a import or export for a nation that... or imports or exports for a nation of Steam. Because I can't think of anything that would be especially valuable to a nation of Steam. Bear with me just a moment. I think that's enough for now. Hey, we've actually managed to finish an article before we're 2 hours into the stream. Okay. Gonna have to re-roll because I don't really have any idea of what... Unless... Alright. What stage of the family tree is he? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what stage of the family tree he's meant to be, so let's just go for something else. Right. V. Not sure I've got anything left for V. There's the outbreak. Okay, we've got a place called the Voister Inn. Now, here's what we know about it. A curious inn in the middle of Delicthra. The name is derived from old Delicthran's hobbit slang for that place you find yourself questioning why anyone would build it there, but once you go in, you realise exactly why. I'm not sure if that gives anyone else gears turning, but let's check what the deal with Delicthra is. one of the Vilcan kingdoms, often referred to as the melting pot nation, owing to the many different cultures and races. Right. So that's the main nation of the Vilcan kingdoms. That's the seat of the power. So clearly there's something funky going on with this inn. What can be its deal? I mean, I probably was aiming for that being the sort of vibe, but it wasn't a direct reference to anything Discworld related. Not familiar with that one. Hi there, Penorio. How you doing? How did the rest of the other horror movie go? Hopefully things get better for you. That sounds like it could have bled through into the whole, the Federation of Hold My Beer, I Got This. If it isn't, in fact, that particular one. So, to fill you in, Fenorio, trying to work out the deal with this tavern, with this inn, that is a curious inn in the middle of Dlicthra. The name is derived from Old Dlicthran Hobbit slang for that place you find yourself questioning why anyone would build it there, but once you go in, you realise exactly why. So it's in the middle of Dlicthra. So it's here. Okie doke, let's have a look. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Hi there, Tirana. How you doing? So, yeah, for those who are unfamiliar, during orientation at a human college, Vulcans are presented with a list of swear words. What is the word fuck for? The innocent young Vulcans want to know. Surely there are more logical intensity modifiers. Yeah, you'd think so, say the weary, jaded Vulcan professors. You'd really fucking think so. There is a phrase in Vulcan for the particular moment you understand what the word fuck is for. Yes, happy Easter, Tirana. You're having a good one? Yeah, I suppose there was chocolate on the Easter cake that we had, but don't do Easter eggs or anything like that. Hmm. I was gonna have a look at that. I know how to break. I can tidy it up later, but it works. Ooh. Oh yeah, I can imagine you would be after dealing with all that. Well, hopefully, at the very least, um, because you're in a place where you're relaxing, it will mean that you can heal a bit easier because you won't have stress and pressures like that. I mean, I think it's cute. At this juncture, I'm wondering if anyone's going to pick up on the references I'm making with this. That's fair. Well, you're partially on the right track. I know this isn't much of a help considering how many games I have played on stream, but it is a reference to one of those games. If it helps narrow it down, that there, not Monkey Island, but you're in the right ballpark in terms of companies. Again, right ballpark for in terms of companies. In fact, in a way, Harpy, you're even closer because in both cases, it's, well, in all of those cases, but in both cases, same company for both the original and the remastered version. There we go. It's also why I went E1Y 1993. Oh, thanks for the hydrate. Like, my posture's quite decent for once. You're just trying to make sure I'm healthy, aren't you? Oh. That's enough for now. So V. uh. Are you? Ah, there we go. I definitely understand that. I think we all do that. It's just for some reason we will gesture at something, whether it's on the phone or talking over Discord or whatever it happens to be. We will all, for whatever reason, make gestures as if the other person can see us when they can't. By the way, just as a quick thing, because I'm very baffled here. I know people say don't look at the view count and all that, but there's a reason I do, and it's mainly because saying 2 viewers, but I know there's 6 of you supposedly in chat, and at least 4 of you, and sometimes 5 of you, are actively chatting. So maybe I just want, yeah, I'd like people to test out refreshing the page just to see if that fixes anything, because it's one of those excuse me, that's the thing. It's sort of like people say don't look at the viewer count, but I've got a very specific reason why I do, and it's because OBS is broken where that is concerned. Like, you can't even go, oh well, it doesn't acknowledge lurkers, because I know how many of you aren't lurking. Oh, peculiar. Because it's saying 2 for me. I don't get it. OBS is gaslighting me. Prof Malicious, when you say same here, do you mean it's showing 6 for you or 2 for you? Okay. I am very confused. Huh. I feel like we need to get on OBS and Twitch's ass about this, because that's one of the big problems. Like, that's why it took me so long to get affiliate, because there were I should have gotten affiliate sooner, but for whatever reason it wasn't showing the right numbers. I remember one time I had 6 active chatters, and it was saying 1 viewer. Like, with all these updates OBS does, They could try an update which actually acknowledges the people that are there. Ugh. It's a tricky one. Because... So, aboleth reproduce asexually. So, they don't need a partner to breed or anything like that. At least as far as I'm aware. So... Would it be okay to still term that as being a hermaphrodite? I'm not sure about if that's still an okay term. Because I know they wouldn't be intersex. No, it wouldn't be, because intersex is when someone let's get individuals born with sex characteristics, chromosomes, genitals, hormones, or reproductive organs that don't fit typical male or female patterns. An umbrella term for a variety of natural variations in... I suppose that's a... Um. See, here's the thing. It's saying hermaphrodites don't exist, but lots of mollusks are like that. Like slugs and snails are like they have both. Oh god, this is a minefield. I'm just gonna put irrelevant to save me the headache. I'm not sure I follow, Fenorio. I need to jog my memory with this bit.
Pardon me, sir. I have...
Ah, right. See if I can.
Brennan Lee Mulligan, a jellyfish giving its son the talk. And
So this guy thinks I don't know that jellyfish reproduce asexually. When I was your age, my dad gave me the talk too. And what he told me, he said, son, you're actually part of a mitosis where I split myself. You know, that can be hard. And yes, the other kids are going to make fun of you. They're going to, you may see another jellyfish that's going through changes as well. And if you feel any sexual attraction for that other jellyfish, that is abnormal and bizarre. our species, we don't do that. I just want to say, for the very short amount of time I will continue to be alive, I'm so proud of you, kiddo. Well done.
Wow! Brennan Lee Mulligan.
Okay. Just kind of giving him the Jeremy Irons in the Dungeons and Dragons movie treatment with that. You know, big major villain guy, and how's he die? Falling rubble. I've never actually seen that movie. I've seen the review of it, but I can't remember what happened. Of course. The hydrate. And yes, the dwarven assassin is called Arg. Erased. Let's ring some bells and... One moment. Oh, that's an unflattering pause.
Wake up, you've got a lot to do today. Feel proud and wipe your eyes, cause they stifle the yawn. Stayed up till dawn, let's see what you've been working on. It's go. Keep in mind the deadline is closing in. Your byline, the headline, they're in the bin. Uncompleted, all deleted. What's going on? You'll have to crunch and work till dawn till you die. Cut out the corners, cross the T's and dot the I's. Whip out the white out, but keep it in good taste. Just so that no one will ever know it's defaced. Epithet erased.
Might have to check it out. turn that down slightly, but... moment, I'm just going to I keep saying he when it's they. God damn it. Alright, let's... Actually, I'm going to go for think it was going. This has just got me on a bit of a kick right now. Oh dear, what happened? Okay. Which star is that? So, a bright blue star anchoring the otherwise faint constellation of Bonbon, the Confection. Jesus Christ. The second brightest star in the northern hemisphere. Okay, so what details can we have about this? Localized phenomena. I'm gonna go back to this music because I can't focus. It's been observed that when the star is at its brightest, so yeah, just as a bit of a world building update, because got this whole thing of Fae being named after flowers and whatnot, and I figured this would be a good way of introducing the idea that there are plants that aren't real world plants. I've decided that those who I've taken the names from actual real world, in inverted commas, Fae, those ones, that's still names of types of plants. So there are oberons, there are titanias, there are pucks. In fact, I've actually got kind of an idea of what a puck flower would look like. It would be sort of a pale yellow center and sort of off-white petals. In fact, I'm going to this down so I let's have a bit of a think here. Ooh. Yeah, with that kind of thing, that's gonna happen. I'm not sure about that one. Alright. What would an Oberon look like? What sort of flower would an Oberon be? By extension, what sort of flower would a Titania be? Ooh. Ooh. I think Hmm. Yeah, I like that. Um. You mean feathers or leaves? A pattern of petals. So, are you saying the pattern of petals would be for the Oberon or the Titania? We'll just do those three, because, well, anything David Bowie related I feel very awkward with at the moment, because uncomfortable stuff has come out about him, and it's all like, especially when it comes to that sort of character, can you really reasonably separate art from artist? Basically, basically in an interview with one of those sort of especially infamous groupies, and at the time she was underage, it was revealed that he slept with her. And it's one of those, why? Why another one? Yeah. It was Bowie that was about. Of course, there's also the awkwardness of, well, she doesn't necessarily regard it as yeah. I don't think he did stand trial for it, but I don't know for certain. I mean, the awkwardness comes in where you're sort of like, well, she doesn't personally regard it in a negative light. But on the other hand, so you've got to question yourself of, am I within my rights to call it assault or anything like that? But on the other hand, it's whichever way you slice it, it's still statutory and still gross. Sorry to be such a downer for everyone on that note. It's one of those. This is stuff that. Yeah, that's why I'm on. I don't know. That's why I'm so uncertain about it, because yeah, it's her experience and she's fully at liberty to view it in whatever light she does. But yeah. Yeah, never shoot the messenger. This is why I'm sort of like, well, is it my right to call it anything other than kind of gross and, legally speaking, statutory? Oh, yeah. Oh, that whole. The problem is that it's very easy to get around charges or any of that sort. Yeah. The problem with charging someone is, one, it's being reported quite a long time after the fact, and that always results in the, well, why didn't you say anything before? And people not understanding the whole, he's a man with a lot of power and a lot of money. That's why they wouldn't necessarily speak out about him, because he can make it go away. The other problem is that because the other problem is that because the people concerned were of age when it happened, they were legally adults, it all becomes a whole he said, she said kind of argument. And I considering the number of accounts, I believe them. I'm just saying that that's part of the problem in trying to charge Gaiman, is the fact that because it's been so long since the events and because they were of age, it becomes very difficult to prosecute, especially with someone who is of means. I think Weird Al is pretty safe. I think the thing with Weird Al is that if this makes sense, trying to think. Yeah, I can understand that viewpoint. I mean, to a certain extent, you can separate art from artist. I mean, when they're dead, yeah, you can separate art from artist. It's when they're still around that you've got that problem. I mean, let's face it. How many people have been influenced by the works of Lovecraft? And Jesus Christ. It's not so much he was a flawed human being as much as he was a bundle of flaws shambling about in a human-shaped skin suit. Yeah. I mean, the one thing we know about Homer is that he had yellow skin and he strangled his son. I mean, you say never meet your heroes, but it entirely depends on said hero. I mean, I have met Devin Townsend at least 3 times. I've met the guys from Psycho Stick a couple of times. I did meet Terry Pratchett. I met Lynn Reed Banks, the author of Indian in the Cupboard, which, granted, flawed stuff in that case, but I'm pretty sure she would go, yeah, there was some stuff in there that should have rethought. I've been lucky to meet quite a few people who've been absolutely lovely. But on the flip side, I've also met Kevin Sorbo. Less said about him, the better. I mean, he's, at least as far as I know, he's not done anything legally questionable, but he's batshit insane. I mean, yeah. Now, when I say he's batshit insane, I mean in the we're talking in the 6th of January denialism kind of batshit insane. Yeah. Yeah, you just see tweets from him and, well, when I was on Twitter, you'd see tweets from him and just go, what the fuck are you on about? Don't really have much for this. See, you say that, but in a lot of cases, their moral standing and, you know, how they voted, everything like that, does inform the art. I feel like you know, there's only a certain degree where you can take that attitude. And especially if they're constantly crowing about it. Yeah. There's a few I've met who, let's see. I met Richard Dean Anderson. Met Alison Hannigan. Oh god. Name's gone out of my head. Oh yeah, I've met Edge. The wrestler. It does bear specifying because there is the guitarist from U2 called The Edge. I mean, at the end of the day, where the movies are concerned, the ethical way of watching them is buy the DVD second hand, because then none of the money goes anywhere except to charity. Oh, another one who I've met who was absolutely lovely. And its name has suddenly gone out of my head. I'll just say Giles from Buffy. He was absolutely lovely to chat to. In fact, I've met about half the cast of Buffy. Alexis Denisov! That was the guy I was trying to remember earlier the name of. He and Alison Hannigan are married, so they often, when they do go to conventions, they'll be together. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Also met Christopher Judge. Anthony Head, yes. Why was that name not coming to mind? But yeah, I've been lucky in... Oh. Hey there, Billy Beefcake. Enjoy your lurk. But yeah, I've been lucky with quite a few people. It's sort of like Kevin Sorbo is that one outlier amongst all the ones I have met. Who makes me go, ooh. But yeah, the rest have been absolutely lovely. I think the thing is, the never meet your heroes mainly applies when it's... Oh, thanks for the hydrate. It mainly applies when you put someone on that pedestal. You know, if you actually see them as heroes, then yeah, they're going to ultimately disappoint. But if you just see them as people who have inspired you, have influenced you, have made you think about how your work, you're less at risk. So, for example, Terry Pratchett was to a certain extent a hero of mine, but more importantly, he was a major inspiration, a major influence. A lot of his humour and sensibilities have filtered into how I've written my stuff, though I have addressed some of the less comfortable stuff and been sort of like, okay, let's try to avoid that. But as we all acknowledge, they're flawed humans like anyone. The important thing is that they don't, like we were saying earlier about me, sort of like Yeah, this is a tricky topic. I don't know enough information about, so I'm just going to go. This doesn't apply here until I know more. That's the thing. As long as they're willing to acknowledge the lack of their knowledge and attempt to understand, it's not going to be a problem. They're not going to disappoint you. But of course, there are things like the problems with Neil Gaiman, where none of us could have predicted that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I say, I've been fairly lucky with who I've met, and Prof Malicious and Tirana, I actually met Tom Scar a year before, and then the following year or it might have been 2 years later, a couple of conventions later, we all met him together. For those who are uncertain, if you're familiar with the Asdaf movies, he's the mind behind those. But yeah, with all of this sort of stuff, it's the main way to avoid that never meet your heroes disappointment is if you acknowledge that humans are flawed, and some of them, you might just catch them on a bad day. Yeah, I mean, you find this with anything. There'll be that unfortunate, oh, yeah, that influenced me. Good Omen seems to be in a very nebulous position at the moment, so your guess is as good as mine. I don't have much. Borngrad. Ah, yeah. Not sure what it says about my brain that there are so many locations that have VR. Alright, Vorngrad is the capital city of Vrekthis. So this is Vrekthis. It is very blasted with sand. I feel sorry for the fan. I feel bad for the fans, and I feel bad for the actors, especially David Tennant, who is another one who, from everything I've seen of him, everything surrounding him, he seems like just the loveliest guy and just the most stand-up person around. I'm not sure what exactly is going on with Good Omens at the moment. I think there's a lot of maneuvering around trying to divorce Gaiman from it, but we'll see what happens. Yeah. I wouldn't like to say on that matter. I think it was actually quite a collaborative effort. I want to introduce something here, but I'm trying to remember the type of lizard. A particular type of lizard that lives in the desert, and they bury themselves under the sand, and that's how they actually are able to find moisture. Anybody's guess. gonna have to look this up. Right. Seems like there's a few options. Okie dokie, Blue Sub, you rest well. Glad we were able to provide company. Skinkus Skinkus, so nice they named it twice. I'm just trying to think how I can translate that into a race name, because I don't want to just go with skink folk, because that's lazy. Again, that's a bit too on the nose. I want... For example... Okay. Okay. Ooh, that sounds fun. Aww. Don't know why, but I suddenly blanked for a moment. Okay, one moment. Let's have a look. Type of gin that is lower in rank. Described as only being half transformed, resulting in a monstrous appearance. They are mentioned in pre-Islamic accounts in Arab Bedouin folklore, overlapping to some extent with Ghoul. Nah. I can actually think of a way to make that tie in with other things. Okie dokie, Venorio. Hope you sleep well. We won't be going on for too much longer, I don't think. Let's have a look. Charmaran is a mythical creature, half woman and half snake, originating in Indo-Iranian and Tibetic folklores. The name Charmaran comes from the Persian word Shah and Maran, hence the name Charmaran literally means the king of snakes. Charmaran is a mythical creature, half snake and half woman, portrayed as a dual-headed creature with a crown on each head, possessing a human female head on one end and a snake's head on the other, possibly representing a phallic figure. The human part is also decorated with a large necklace. Yeah, I definitely. Shouldn't be repurposing that. That's way too fascinating. Okay, we'll have a check of those in a second. Brood on. I know how I'm going to work this out. They're called skinks. The common skink, also called Skincus skincus. So I think what we'll do is we'll take that name and we'll create we'll take some of the letters and work them around a bit. Obviously, with that many S's and C, well, right. I almost want to make it a palindromic name. So something like Skinunix. Yeah, we'll go with that because I like how that sounds. Skinunix. Okay, I'm curious. What the fuck is that? They just made a grey. Well, they made the XCOM. They made the XCOM 2 grey. That's why I went for it. Sort of like Skinunix. I am going to change it to K's though, just so that it's clear. Skinunix. That way there's not any instance of people going, how's that meant to be pronounced? At least as far as I'm aware, there isn't any alternate pronunciation of K in any languages, but I don't know. I don't know every language. I've just never heard anyone pronounce a K anything else than as a K. I'm pretty sure, not sure how many languages actually have Ks in them. Which raises the question. Well, wait, what am I even saying? Greek and Latin, you doik. Right. I mean, that doesn't surprise me. It seems like C is a bit of a complicated letter for a lot of Eastern European languages. Very much depending on the context of how it's, where in a sentence, where in a word it's used, and if it's got an accent on it, and all that sort of thing. Wilhelmus, Wilhelmus. Really hoping people get the reference here. Actually, you've got me curious, Harpy. Right. Well, you've got the description. So this is for the culture. There seems to be a... So this is the city that is a city of cat and wolf people living peacefully together. Curiously, though, it is known for a distinct lack of hysteria. And in their culture I put, there seems to be a very curious orientation within much of their culture around playing card games, smoking cigars, and drinking expensive spirits. It is in fact regarded as a great insult for one to decline an invitation to such an event. There we go. I mean, it's perfectly understandable that such a thing would trip you up, because ours is a language that is 7 languages shambling around in a trench coat, mugging other languages for grammar. What does it remind you of? I'm just using lupine as a broad term at the moment. Yeah, it is very much that. Although it's actually derived from a Garfield comic strip where this other cat hits Odie on the head, and then Garfield proceeds to clobber the other cat, and the last panel is no one gets to be mean to Odie except me. Or words to that effect. Ah, perfect. I just want the bloody... I just love Wango! Oh, Christ. Freaking Corgins. Yeah, but that's kind of the point, though, is that people do mistake them for other things. It's how they get about, is because they can hide in plain sight. The whole reason they mingle with normal wolves is because people aren't going to necessarily be able to go, oh, that's the werewolf. just get that up to 150. Oh, for the love... Fucking hate. No, we're Word Anvil. We couldn't possibly program our website to function like a normal word processor. We've got to make it weird. I'll work out things like history and whatnot down the line. Key difficulty with doing any sort of world building is working out how it all fits together. This is why I'm moving away from World Anvil, because I'm just sort of like, most of this I don't even know why it's different boxes. It all feels like they're the same thing, just phrased in different ways. And in some cases, it's sort of like, why can't we just get rid of this box? I don't need it because it's not relevant. How can I list a disbandment when it's not that sort of an organisation? It's not an organisation of... No. It's not an organisation, it's a city. Anyway. Looking at the time and considering I'm having a bit of a brain starting to melt, we're gonna leave it here. Anyway, got a few things written up. Actually managed to work out something that I was looking at and going, I have no recollection of you. Oh. Recent article. I mean, 1, 2, 4. Okay, so we're back to our average. 5 articles updated, and of the... Well, technically 6, because I was working on... Oh yeah, no, that was worked on today, so... Hey, Lazan. So, yeah. We got 6 articles done. So that's that little bit more sorted. Yeah. Been a productive day. As far as I'm aware, there are no specific announcements to make. Got the usual, be continuing Beyond Good and Evil on Wednesday, continuing Shardlight on Thursday, and doing more world building next Sunday. I am sorting out talking to Miss White Mage about doing a collab stream at some point. Not certain when that's going to be. We're going to have a chat next weekend at some point, just be sort of like, okay, here are our ideas. Let's see what works best. Go from there. From that, can't think of anything else. There's a few people that I'm sorting out, being sort of like, okay, let's do a collab stream. Quite a few of them are probably going to be people who sort of like, right, I've got this place named after you. Let's get something done. There's also some people who I'm probably, because there are some places where I've not really had much contact with the people since naming them and all being a bit up in the air. I'm probably going to rename those locations because those things I don't know how to get in contact with them when I never see them online anymore. So we'll see what we shall see. Anyway, before we have another ad break, seeing as I'm ready to go, let's sort out someone to raid. Right, let's see. Okay, they are actually streaming now, so I did try raiding them properly a few weeks back, but let's go raid Rafi, who is a friendly puppet tuber. And I will catch you all later. Night, everybody.